Splinter Cell Deathwatch is a cartoon based on a video game based on a character created by Ubisoft but approved by author Tom Clancy, who wrote books that are kind of like the video game, which inspired the cartoon Splinter Cell Deathwatch. The show stars Samuel Erasmus Fisher, a retired Civil War captain who is best remembered for his evening walks around the Union camps, inspiring the men with his signature catchphrases, affirmative, Roger that, and the asset is secure. Fisher was written about often by his men, such as in this letter penned by a young soldier to his lady love back home. My dearest Beth, in the gladdest days and in the darkest nights, if there be a soft breeze upon your cheek, it shall be Samuel Fisher, doing the splits just above you in a hallway. He's probably about to drop down and choke you out. Good luck, my darling.
Welcome back to Nerd Legion. We are once again doing contemporary content over our Ghost of Yotei arc. By the way, look on over at Last Free Nation Gaming for some Ghost of Yotei review content that DoA and I are doing with some other people that should be really interesting. And deep dive, spoiler-laden reviews of games that actually get into deep discussions about how these games are, talking about the storylines and everything like that. So if you want that instead of a generic spoiler-free discussion of content, I think that's probably where you want to head. Nobody's really doing anything like what we're making right now, which is pretty cool.
You know, it's weird when we're in a time when like it's a strange thing when the people reviewing the games have actually played the games and actually took time to think about the games and gather thoughts instead of just like, I'm going to do a couple of hours in my advanced copy and like, here's a very generic thing. Yeah, turns out it's actually kind of cool when people play the games and know what they're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you like content like we've made for movies here on Nerd Legion, where we have much more intricate discussions about media that are filled with spoilers, but also filled with thematic analysis, that's probably what you want. And, you know, it's an opportunity for us to go deep on a lot of games that have been released in the past, as well as new titles that are being released currently. And we figured we'd tackle that first with Ghost of Yotei. It's not just me and DoA. There's several other people involved as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy that, but head on over there for that content. Meanwhile, a bit of a surprise this week. Netflix decided to drop a Splinter Cell animated series, which definitely in the year 2025 is not something that I thought would be happening, because the Splinter Cell franchise, while once a very famous Xbox exclusive franchise that I played in the early 2000s, you know, and stretched into the mid 2000s, has been more or less dead for 10 years or so.
Hey, you say that, but he's a prominent character in Rainbow Six Siege. He just doesn't go by the name Sam Fisher. He is the Splinter Cell guy.
But yes, I mean, there have been like nods to him in other media, but for what was once, I would say, one of the flagship Xbox franchises alongside Halo, it is surprising that Ubisoft has kind of let this one drift off and not continue to make money off of it, because many people like myself have fond memories of the Splinter Cell games. And it has to be said that there was at one time the plans to make a live action Splinter Cell movie, which then got caught in development hell and never happened. But that was definitely on the table in the earlier 2000s, or mid 2000s, I should say, like mid 2010s.
Can you imagine the anger rock that would have been all throughout that soundtrack? I shudder to think.
So now, the question is, why in 2025 are we getting an animated Netflix Splinter Cell show? And part of the reason of that is that Splinter Cell is actually being remade for 2026. So next year, there's going to be a remake of the original Splinter Cell game that we are being told the game is being updated with modern mechanics, but should have a very similar story to the first game. So they're trying to reboot the franchise, basically. So I think what they're trying to do is more or less prime the pump of Splinter Cell as a franchise again, that will lead into the 2026 remake. And, you know, that is unlike Riot Games' Arcane, which released with no tie-in to the actual game League of Legends, or say a new version of League of Legends, updated engine, a new user tutorial experience. No, Did Riot
New
do any of
skins.
those things? No.
Couple new skins
they
this season too. Victor's skin or whatever. They changed Victor's look. There you go.
So
they changed
I would
Victor's
say
look
already. Netflix and Ubisoft surpassing Riot in terms of actually marketing something, because, like I said, there is going to be a game that is released relatively soon in 2026, and also, interestingly, DoA, the Splinter Cell Deathwatch show, the day it was released on Netflix, season 1 has already been greenlit for season 2. So. I don't know if there was enough viewership on this in the first day. I've heard very little about it.
That's so frustrating to me with the way how season 1 ended. We'll get into that. We'll get into that later. But like, man, I'm actually mad hearing that with how much I dislike the ending of season 1. But we'll talk about that later. But when I first saw we were doing this and watching all that, the thing that jumped to mind honestly was like, wow, what a wasted property Overwatch has been. Because, remember
True.
when we did this thing called the Overwatch League years ago, and like when we started working with Blizzard back in like 2017 and all that, they were like, oh, we're going to do a cartoon and there's going to be action figures and all this kind of stuff. And we're like, great, this property is perfect for that. This property is so perfect for being the Saturday morning cartoon of like this generation in terms of a cool cast of heroes and neat world and all that. And they did nothing with it. They did absolutely nothing outside of like the cinematics they released on their YouTube channel, right? Which were great, but like that's such a what an enormous. This just reminded me of what an enormous amount of wasted potential there was in Overwatch, where I'm like, how in the world did we get a Splinter Cell cartoon before we got an Overwatch cartoon? What is wrong with the world? How did they screw that up so badly? That's like, I don't want to just like, beat on the dead horse. But at the same time, like it comes to mind because I had a soft spot in my heart. I really loved Overwatch,
Sure, yeah.
And so it's just when I see things like this, I can't help but think for a moment like that how we missed out on something potentially really great there. But anyway, back to Splinter Cell. I played the first game and that was about it. I played the original game way back on Xbox. It was like a landmark, sneaky strategic game. I really, really loved it. But then I never went back to any of the other ones because although I liked that game, I kind of just played it because it was just one of the big new flagship titles for the console, more than the content of the game itself, right? It was just a big new thing. And so I played it and I enjoyed it. But I've never really been a big fan of the spy, espionage, this kind of genre. So that's kind of, so I haven't really gotten into any other games like that. So watching this, I came into it kind of tepid, just because like I'm not a big fan of spy stuff,
Well, I am though. So, and what's interesting is like Splinter Cell was kind of Xbox's answer to the PlayStation Metal Gear Solid, right?
Yeah.
And so, PlayStation had Metal Gear Solid as an exclusive and people were all over that. Xbox developed this franchise in conjunction, like basically got the approval of Tom Clancy in order to use his name on this and kind of keep that spirit of the espionage. Compared to Metal Gear Solid, this is obviously much more, I would say, realistic, even though it's still superhero stuff.
You think so? Do you think?
Yes.
You think this is more realistic than Metal Gear? Okay.
I also am just.
Whoa, hot take there.
I think Metal Gear is just extremely cheesy, and people. Here's my hot take. I think Kojima's not very good. I'm not a big Metal Gear fan. I think his weird shit about AI, and then him being like, "Oh, we have this enemy called Vamp, but he's not Vamp because he's a vampire, even though he's a vampire." He's Vamp because he's bisexual. I'm like, okay. And then they're like, oh my God, somebody's arm that was reattached is now taking over their mind. It's hokey to an absurd degree.
He is the Jodorowsky of gaming, basically, where
it's
like
that's
grandiose ideas. I'm more thinking of Jodorowsky's Dune in this particular case, but it's grandiose ideas and plans, but it gets a little bit lost there. Thankfully, Splinter Cell Deathwatch is the opposite, where it's extremely simple.
Yes, it is, and I think we'll probably have a little bit different take on this show because I actually enjoyed this show. I thought it was
okay.
I thought it was pretty good. And it was compelling. And the nice thing about it, too, is it's 8 episodes, but I just did it all in one sitting. Basically, it's about 2.5 hours for 2.5 to 3 hours for all those 8 episodes.
Two sittings.
But it flows together really nicely. I think the pacing is snappy. It stays focused on its main story. I think if you are coming at this as somebody who really cares about Splinter Cell, you may not like this show. And like I said, I played the first 3 games. Let me just check. I played the original Pandora, Tomorrow, and Chaos Theory. Those are the ones that I played. So I didn't play any of the games post 2005. And I haven't revisited those games in 20 years, so I don't really remember a lot about Splinter Cell. I do recall that there are some elements in this show that tie into Chaos Theory, the 3rd game in the series, which is Shetland. The character of Shetland is in that game. And so they reproduce some of that, but you do not have to have played those games in order to understand it. There are just plot points that appear in that game that are also in this show, including the main plot point about Shetland in particular, and Shetland's family. But I think it's probably wise that they don't connect it too much or rely on too much knowledge, because there are going to be a lot of people who, like myself, who have fondness for Splinter Cell, but also haven't engaged with the content in 20 years. So, I don't remember that really. And it's not necessary to comprehend what is going on in the show. And I also think it's fun that they take a look at this series basically 20 years later, which is that Sam Fisher is now older, ostensibly retired. He is the grizzled veteran and not the younger guy in the Splinter Cell games, so that you actually get this kind of perspective. It's a fresh perspective in a fresh setting while still containing characters that we know and love.
It's the Logan of Splinter Cells.
Yes.
Yeah, he's old. He's old now. But it struck me a little bit as in the same vein as like Gundam Requiem for Vengeance, where it's like, here is this universe, here is a taste of this universe, this is like the basics of what this universe has to offer. Where Splinter Cell, it did all the spy espionage stuff. You had people sneaking around, stealth kills, mad hacker people, and explosions, tanker, like ships being hijacked, which is just like the thing to do in spy thrillers in this decade. Like why does every single thing, like if it's a Marvel universe or this, or like you name it, there is going to be a container ship or some sort of transport ship hijacked or turned to some sort of nefarious purpose. That's or
shredded, as in Three Body Problem, which actually still is such a memorable scene. Amazing
that is
scene.
Horrifying, but awesome. So it's like, I don't know what it is about ships, but like ships are the in thing in this kind of stuff lately. So when I saw there was another ship, I was like, oh, of course. Why wouldn't there? Why wouldn't there be a ship?
Also,
right?
shout out to Metal Gear Solid 2, which famously had a cargo ship, container ship at the start of it.
Yeah, but did it like turn into a robot or something at the end?
No, there were just robots inside of it because it's Metal Gear.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Yeah, there you go. Metal Gear. I knew they had to be in there somewhere. Yeah. But it's a lot of what you would expect, and I thought it was fine too. Yeah, I agree. I thought it told a tight story. I really had an issue with the ending, but overall, I thought it was very inoffensive in terms of not wanting to push any boundaries or do anything too unique. It's like I said with the Gundam show, where it's just like a very much, here's your intro to the universe kind of thing.
Yeah.
Would you like more is the underlying question there that Netflix and their salespeople are asking. Which
and the answer is they've already renewed it, and also
apparently
clearly this is just to whet the appetite, like I said, of the remake coming out. I think if you are a Splinter Cell fan, you will probably be somewhat disappointed that there is less stealth and more violence in this one, as in Splinter Cell really was about light and dark and having a robust stealth system. And if you did make kills, they were quiet and not very graphic. Whereas this is, the positive and negative is that this is like very violent, and people might be like, well, that's not in the keeping with Splinter Cell. But if you don't care about Splinter Cell, what this is very cool. And like, I will say that the violence is really well done, and the action scenes are very awesome. And it has really good animation, and it's very creative. And I think one of the big positives, and by the way, where this comes from, is that the creator of this show is literally Derek Kolstad, who made John Wick. So
Oh.
it is John Wick.
Oh, yeah.
Is what it is. And so I happen to enjoy John Wick because John Wick is more, I would say, over the top and fantasy, whereas this tries to be more grounded in more realistic geopolitics. But in terms of action sequences, this show nails it. So if you just want to sit back and watch some really cool action set pieces with great animation, and honestly, another, I think, probably under talked about aspect of the series will be the sound design, because the way this show moves from action, very fast-paced action, to quiet and the setup for the action sequences and having like a moment to breathe and really you listening to all the sounds that are there, and then also incorporating really iconic sound elements from the Xbox game, like the sound of the night vision goggles turning on is just exactly the same as in the Xbox game, so there's a lot of nostalgia for that.
Wait. No, please don't!
Now, this Mantis Sleep mask might not be quite as cool as those night vision goggles that Sam Fisher wears in Splinter Cell, but unlike those night vision goggles, this will actually block all the light that is supposed to go into your eyes, which, well, may not be very useful on an espionage mission. It sure as hell is useful if you're trying to go to sleep. And I've been absolutely loving my Mantis Sleep mask since I got it. You can see these eye cups are fully adjustable with Velcro to go ahead and fit your face. This thing is feather light, made out of memory foam. It has cooling gel here, as you can see, on the inside of the band, so it never gets hot, breathes super well, and gives you that 100% blackout that I at least need to sleep. So, especially if you have a partner that's in bed with you that may want to get up early in the morning, or, you know, likes a little bit of light or a night light while they're sleeping, this just solves your problem right there, because you can sleep in blackout conditions without affecting another person, or without being bothered by that light that comes in through the cracks in the curtains early in the morning. I've been loving mine. I've used it every single day from Manta Sleep since I got it. So you guys can head on over to mantasleep.com to pick up yours. They've got a variety of different options, from the Pro to one that actually has Bluetooth headphones in it. So if you like to listen to meditation or music or anything else while you're going to sleep, it's right there in the mask itself and can connect to your phone wirelessly, which is a pretty cool product if you're into that kind of thing. So you guys can go ahead and use code NERD, N-E-R-D, at mantasleep.com to get 10% off your purchase of anything on the site. So thanks a lot to Manta Sleep for sponsoring us here at Nerd Legion. This show is really well done. So I think the pacing of action is amazing, just like it is in John Wick. It's super compelling visually, and it is very deeply cool to watch.
The action is what saved it for me, for sure. If the action scenes hadn't been that good, I probably would have just been very bored, you know? Again, and part of it's just because I just have less of an interest in the genre. So I know part of it is personal and not really the show itself. But yeah, the action scenes are what kind of pushed over the top to being like a show I enjoyed, you know? I one of my notes I had was like, is this an advertisement for like in-ear headphones? Because like it seemed like every scene, it was mandatory. At least one scene per episode had to have some character listening to a song on their headphones, and you're like, listen to the sound. It's in their headphones, and then they took their headphones out, and now the sound is out of your head. It's like, okay, we get it. Characters wear headphones, and when their headphones are in, we hear the sound more clearly, and when they're out, we don't. Which is fine. But it was like every episode, I was like, oh, it's our headphone scene. I just wrote headphones in all caps whenever it popped up in each episode when I was taking notes. So that stood out. I was like, wow, they really are pushing the idea of wearing in-ear headphones in this show.
But yeah, like I think what this show does well, if you are an enthusiast of spy espionage thrillers, which I am very much, you'll have a good time watching this show. Is it the best one you're ever going to see? No, but I do think that it's compelling in the way that they present the espionage of, you know, like Black Ops versus private military corporation mercenaries and
Sure.
a global conspiracy to affect the power of Europe, basically the power infrastructure of Europe. And when we're talking about this show, it starts out like, I think the first episode is just brilliant. Like, I really like the way they unfold the mystery of this show. And I think that that is one of the strongest elements of it, which is that we're dropped in with no explanation to a fourth echelon operative who we find out later is a woman named McKenna. And she is in the process of trying to extract another agent. And we don't know why. She's just in this house in Lithuania. And so she's in Lithuania and she's on this Black Ops mission to recover another agent, to extract another agent. She gets in there, commits unspeakable violence, and finds out that the agent, who is also her lover, is dead. And she takes out one of his teeth. We don't really know why. And then she is wounded in her attempt to flee. She then gets a car, drives to Poland, where very conveniently Sam Fisher is now old and living on a farm in the rural Poland. And so, you know, the bad guys are following her and then attack Sam Fisher. We get an extremely cool sequence where Sam Fisher just completely murks all these guys in stealth mode outside of his own house on his farm. And then he takes her to a safe house, and we start to unravel this plot where they are trying to deal with the daughter of Shetland, whose name is Diana Shetland from Chaos Theory, the game, which is an old friend and then later adversary of Sam Fisher's from previous Splinter Cell lore, who created a mercenary company, almost started a world war, basically. And his daughter is now trying to control, basically destroy the energy infrastructure of Europe in order to make her own green energy initiatives more successful. So it is a conspiracy that she is running. She still has this mercenary unit doing black ops and trying to defy the agents of the U.S. government in Europe. And it is, I think, a really compelling story. But all of this takes time to like unfold. And I think that's one of the fun parts of this, is that they don't blow their load up front. You're put in the center of the action without much explanation, and you know, you are expected as a viewer to engage with the content and to figure it out as Sam Fisher and McKenna figure out this plot. And I think they do that in a really cool way.
Yeah. And and everyone's smoking and swearing. Like this, like swearing doesn't really bother me in stuff like it, but it's to the degree in this show where I'm like, all right, now it just kind of feels like filler. It feels like there could have been a more interesting line there, but instead it was just another F-bomb or something like that. And it's like, no, I don't know anyone that actually talks that way, you know? So it was to the point where it became distracting, which I feel like that doesn't happen very often with me. Like like I said, it doesn't really bother me or anything, but it happened to the degree where I was like, man, it's so much that couldn't there have been a more creative line there, a more creative reaction the character could have had that added to either building that character or a funny moment in the plot, you know? But so I felt like that was where the writing fell flat a little bit for me. I thought a little bit of the dialogue was kind of clunky, where a lot of it was, some of it was kind of like, you talked about how you're supposed to kind of figure things out along with the characters, which I do think that intent was there. But then there was other lines like Lucas wanted to make sure only Xenia could access the files, and we're like, yes, obviously that's the whole point of all of this, right? It's like, why do you have that? Or like lines like, you know, she's taken out, they're like, we've lost her. It's like, yeah, I know. And so there were certain lines in there that were just like the, you know, my first plot following experience lines, where it's like, it felt a little bit too handholdy to me. So that, and like the swearing kind of like threw me off, where it's like, I think the plot was good, and I did like where everything went towards the end. You know, I thought the twist in the last episode was cool. It was really good. But yeah, just some of the stuff in the middle just felt a little bit lazy, you know, if that makes sense, right? Where it could have been better. It wouldn't have taken that much effort to make it better. But I don't know if they wanted to just, they think it makes characters seem tougher if they swear all the time, or what. But to me, when it's to that degree, it's like, you know, why have anything at all if you're not going to bother giving me an interesting line, you know?
Should have had more James Bond witty one-liners.
Exactly, that kind of thing. Or at least, you know, it doesn't even need to be witty. It just needs to be some sort of like, normal
Lame
reaction.
pun.
Yeah, there you go. We need more lame puns. Why aren't there more lame
I don't know if
puns
that
in
fits
this?
with the tone, but yeah, I agree with you to
Probably
a certain extent. It didn't bother me as much. Like I overlooked that because I thought a lot of the pacing was good. And I really like the characters in the show. I think they're all really distinct from each other and have identities. I do have some issues with not the characters. So like the characters in the plot are pretty cool. The plot eventually gets to the point by the end, and here's where the heavy spoilers come in because we are going to talk about the twist now, where Diana Shetland has a younger half brother who I will say they telegraph it really hard because Charlie is his name, and he's kind of just like around or not around, like conspicuously not at these fundraisers that she's doing in order to promote her green energy initiatives and be part of the Shetland family. So it's very clear the whole time that there's going to be something that happens with him. You just don't know
what. We're led to
what.
believe he's just off partying, basically. That's what they try to tell us, you know. But like we know there's a deeper anger that lurks beneath the
it's
surface,
also that
you
they
know?
wouldn't waste a lot of time telling us he's like partying and he's being a playboy if he wasn't actually up to some other stuff. Because like every episode's like, where's Charlie? Where's Charlie? Where's Charlie? So it is a pretty heavily telegraphed that something's going to happen, and it is kind of stupid in the way that it does happen. So effectively, Diana Shetland has created this ocean platform called Xanadu from the Coleridge poem Kubla Khan. Is the name of the paradise and very famously in that poem by Coleridge. And so she uses it to say that every version of Xanadu, all these artificial islands that they can make, take tidal power, like wave power, air like, you know, they have turbines for air power. They have solar power.
Power stations, basically.
Yeah, they're basically floating power stations that use air, like wind, water, and sun, and each of them can support a city's energy for 2 million people. So this is going to be the wave of the future for green energy, right? And she instead has used her father's private military corporation of mercenaries that she inherited to try and run this oil tanker from Russia into the power station on the coast in Europe, on the coast of the Baltic Sea. And so therefore, by destroying this power plant in Germany, she is then going to make herself indispensable to Europe because she's going to provide that power. Instead, it's going to save the company. Everything's going to be a roaring success. Everybody wants to buy these artificial islands, etc. The twist is her half-brother takes control of the tanker and runs it into Xanadu, killing her. Now, if you're Sam Fisher and you're on a mission, it's very important that you can hear everything that's going on around you. And that's why Sam Fisher may want to buy Raycon's Essential Open Earbuds, which wrap around the ears and don't go into his ear canal. So if he's making phone calls to his handlers, getting the critical intel that he needs to complete his mission, he can still hear what's going on in the environment. And now, Sam Fisher, on this Black Friday and Cyber Monday, he can save up to 30% off all Raycon audio products, and so can you. So it depends on which products you want. There's always, of course, the essential everyday earbuds that you guys can get as well, which I have right here. These are fantastic. These have active noise cancellation with them, and it works extremely well. I've used them in very loud environments and on public transportation, and it has allowed me to listen to my music and podcasts like Glorious Nerd Legion here in peace, right? They also have multi-point connectivity, so you can connect to multiple devices simultaneously and switch seamlessly without it being a hassle and you having to worry about disconnecting your Bluetooth and all that annoying stuff. So Raycon has been absolutely fantastic, and they deliver the same premium audio quality as the big brands, but at half the price. So really a good deal, especially on Black Friday. Over 3 million happy customers and a 30-day happiness guarantee. So there's zero reason to overpay. If you guys aren't happy with them, you can just return them. It's that easy. Also have insane battery life. I've never even run out of battery on these things ever, despite having them in my jacket pocket for days at a time. So you guys can check out for Black Friday. It's just around the corner. Raycon audio products are up to 30% off site-wide. From everyday essentials to the latest releases, it's the perfect time to upgrade your sound or to get ahead on gifting for the holidays, right? Makes a good stocking stuffer. These deals won't last long, so shop now before they're gone. Go to buyraycon.com/NerdLegionOpen. That's right, Nerd Legion Open, OPEN, to save on Raycon audio products site-wide.
Yeah,
which was like, to the credit, like I didn't think they were going to go through with it, DoA, but like honestly, one of the best scenes in this is that because at the same time, Sam Fisher and McKenna are on this tanker trying to stop it, and they're doing one of the tropes that this series falls into is the stupid 90s hacker thing where it's like everything is like, exactly. I'm in, I'm going to hack it. And so that happens over and over again. We just have to forgive that it does that. It's like, Thunder, why don't you just hack it? He's like, okay. And then he just solves all the problems. It is done.
Or even down to the scene where it's like, we have to go to the remote place and find the quirky nerd because he's the best hacker in the world. And we're gonna recruit
My
him.
favorite thing about that scene when they get
Yeah.
when they get him is that, by the way, this is just so dumb. And so it's probably the single dumbest part of this show is that when they go and recruit him, the government agent who's Grimm, by the way, who is in the Splinter Cell games also. So some people recognize Grimm as a character. So she comes up and she goes to him and she's like, you graduated from MIT and are a super hacker. Why are you just out here? And he's like, no, I just want a normal life, man. Leave me alone. And then she's like, but what about the chaos algorithms? And he's like, chaos algorithms? And then he just takes her phone. He's like, chaos algorithms? He's like, oh my God, there's chaos algorithms on your phone. And then he just takes the SIM card out, snaps the phone in half. And he's like, I'm in. And you're like, what the fuck is a chaos algorithm? You just broke the phone and then you just are in. Like, we didn't need any of these scenes. You could have just been there from the beginning because are chaos algorithms mentioned again? No.
Nope.
Do they have?
But Monty, how can you follow every trope of a spy thriller and not have a scene where you go and recruit the unwilling hacker man? Huh?
It's just so
and they
dumb.
have to either they have to either be a sequestered nerd that was successful but just can't handle their own brilliance and lives off the grid, or it has to be like a smarmy talk-backing teenage girl. Those are the two archetypes for your hacker people. And so you have to have one of those two. That's mandatory.
I'm willing to deal with that, DoA, and I'm willing to forgive it if the chaos algorithms come back at some point in time. But it's never explained what it meant that they were on her phone, and then also why his motivation was based around the chaos algorithms and how this would come into the rest of the plot. So what I'm saying is he could have been there from the beginning. We could have just deleted this scene and nothing would have changed in the whole show. So that's badly written. But
you're saying it was just unpredictable, which is the essence, the very essence of chaos. Sounds like you got trapped in the algorithm there. Yeah.
Anyway,
but yeah, I do appreciate
the whole
that
scene is really silly.
It is. I every time he appears on the screen, I'm like, oh, he's gonna do some hack. He's gonna go. He's like,
but
I did it.
Credit.
Yeah, high five me. Yeah.
To the credit of that final scene in the show where he's like, I've got control of the tanker, and then he's like, but I don't, and it's gonna run into Xanadu. I was like, okay, fine. Finally, like we're getting somewhere with this. And I love the fact that like McKenna and Fisher basically just have to take the L and get in an escape boat and leave the tanker because they're like, no, this tanker is going to hit that island. They're like, you're thinking there as a viewer, oh no, surely they will find a way to stop this tanker. And no, they're just told, get off the ship right now. And there's on the island, they're having this party to christen the new energy station of Xanadu with Diana Shetland and it says like a bunch of people from Europe, world leaders, and the tanker just runs into the island and kills everybody. I'm like, kind of based way to end the show.
I was pleasantly surprised, because I thought everything had been so by the book, before that in terms of the beats and all that kind of stuff with your spy thriller. I thought for sure Sam's gonna be like, oh, I remember this one time in Baghdad or wherever I was, where I had to do a mad hacking thing, even though I'm not a hacker. And I remember you just like push the paperclip in this thing and release it. I thought it'd be one of those, right? Where he's like, oh, I have control now. And maybe he'll noble sacrifice himself or something. But I was expecting that kind of thing. But yeah, they just get off in it and it blows up the island and kills everybody. And I'm like, that's great. That's great. I'm like, okay. Now I'm kind of down for season 2, because now we've got this brother who's sort of like, he could be like, where she was kind of like a half supervillain, where it's like she was kind of invested in being a supervillain, but also
I will
kind
say,
of not,
like,
but
the villains in the show are kind of weak, because literally it's like classy fundraising lady, and she's supposed to be the villain. It's not. She's not the most intimidating villain.
My point
of all
is,
time.
though, right? And so when her brother kind of becomes the villain, you're like, okay, this is kind of an unhinged but capable, super villain, right? And then Sam just goes and kills him in the last 30 seconds of the show. He just shows up at the apartment, and the guy's like, oh no, and Sam just shoots him. And I'm like, what? I'm like, well, I guess there is no season 2 then, because clearly you've given yourself nothing to do now. You'd have to come up with an entirely new story.
Well,
because you just set up what could be a good season 2, and then they just throw it right out the window. And that's what I hate. I'm like, what a stupid way to end that
It is funny because he gives
series.
this speech that I think is quite compelling, where he basically says, like, you're not ambitious enough, half sister. I'm going to create this massive power vacuum. Watch me go.
Yes, they did a good job setting him up. They actually
and then
set him up well.
He just gets capped in the end.
It's so dumb. The ending is one of the dumbest, like, last minute show ruinings I've seen in a while, where it's like everything was set up so well for it to actually be a good season 2, and then it's like, oh no, we're just gonna throw that out the window, because Sam
I will say,
always wins.
It must be. I'm open to the fact that they actually have a really good idea to set this up in season 2.
Okay.
I'm open to see what happens, but the problem is that they killed all the villains, so I don't know who is going to be the villain of the next one, because even all the henchmen of Diana Shetland were killed. Right?
You know what's going to happen? Because you're wrong, Monty. One henchman survived. Her assistant that she fired because McKenna messed with his phone stuff.
Yeah.
He was fired. There is a great shot where he's like just standing there watching the stuff happen on TV. Like, you can tell he's thinking, "Holy crap, I could have been there. I'm so glad I was fired." And maybe he just takes that as a sign he should go on to do better things and be a charitable person, all that. But maybe just maybe, deep within the will somewhere, there's enough people that have died that he gains control of the company, and then he can be the supervillain of the next. He's like, I will not be an assistant any longer.
That's just what happened. That's actually that's literally what happened in The Boys, by the way. That's literally what happened in The Boys. With Vought, the assistant just became the CEO. The puppet
You're right.
CEO.
Yeah. So there you go. There's precedent. You don't even need to be unique. So you could do that. You could do that. So I was happy that they ran the ship into the island and blew up. I thought that was great. That was a good twist. But then they just ruin it immediately by having their interesting villain that they've just introduced die. So
I also like, I think the writing in the show, the dialogue is also really good. I think they actually managed to hit some profound moments. Like, I really liked when Fisher goes into Diana Shetland's office, and she basically, is just calling him a dog for the U.S. government, and that, everything is, there's a lot of moral relativism, and that what she does is not any worse or better than what he does, which is also a callback to what her dad said after he formed his private military corporation and questioned the actual nobility of the U.S. government, and said that ideals come from the person, not from the top down. I think there's a lot of good writing in these moments. And I even like the relationships are very well developed, because we find out that Fisher is Diana Shetland's godfather. And so in that moment where the tanker is about to hit Xanadu, the conflict that I felt from Fisher was like, he's trying to save Diana at the end of the day. Like, he still feels a moral obligation to help her from his former relationships, even though he did kill her father.
Oops.
He's kind of forced to, though.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, he has that chance to kill her too, but he doesn't do it, and she knows he's not going to do it and all that. But like, I think it's uneven, right? There are some really good moments like that. I think the final conversation in the flashback with Sam and the elder Shetland, I can't remember
Donald
his name.
Shetland.
Donald Shetland, where they talk about what you're talking about, where it's like,
Douglas Shetland. Sorry, Douglas.
Sure, like about the morals coming from the person, not from the top down, blah blah. Like I think that was good. I think there were some good moments there, but there were also some real kind of like tropey, generic kind of moments there too. But I would say overall the show is a fun watch. I didn't love it, but I definitely didn't dislike it either. You know, if there was a season 2, I'd probably watch it. You know, I mean, I'm sure we'll do it for the show if it happens, but
I mean,
I'd watch it because I'm interested to see where it would go.
Yeah, I liked it enough because I like this genre. I think if you enjoy John Wick or you enjoy espionage films, then you will have a good time with this. Is this the best? Is this the best iteration of an espionage film? No. If you're somebody who thinks like me, who really likes, the Cold War espionage movies, if you like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, these kind of movies that are really good, it's not that good. Is it better than a lot of other espionage? Yes. And I think that it is just frankly straight up enjoyable to watch because of the pacing, because of the characters, and because of the action sequences, and the way it looks and sounds is really good. Like, the animation quality is well above what I thought it would be heading into this. And I think it's clear that they cut some corners, particularly in the dialogue moments. There's not a lot of movement, and it feels like a lot of the budget went into the action. But I'm fine with that, man. Like, the action is really well animated, so I don't really care. Like, I feel like it's very forgivable that we have less detail in the quieter, conversational moments. Like, I'm willing to make that trade-off because I feel like the budget has been used really effectively in this. And it just isn't going to have the budget of something like Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix, which is just, or Arcane, that is just gorgeous, start to finish, right? And that's just a shortcoming it has, but it does what it does well.
Yeah, the combat was good, and everything else was above average, I would say. And it was fun. I had like a little bit of nostalgic enjoyment for it because, like I said, I did enjoy playing that game way back in what was like 2001, 2002 when that came out, 2002, I think.
And they literally just used a lot of the sound effects straight from that game for the tech, which is like a nice callback and a nice nod.
I've always thought the green triple eye thing was cool. I always thought that was a neat look for the helmet and all that, for the gear, and so that was neat. I remember doing a lot of the thing I remember the most about that game, which is why it's in the intro for the episode, is doing the splits in a hallway above somebody.
Oh yeah,
and then like dropping down, taking them out. Like that is the Sam Fisher move, is doing the splits. So I'm sad he didn't do it here. He didn't keep up with the stretching, apparently.
I mean, he's shown to be older, so I think that makes sense. But there's a lot of room in this series. There's a lot of yoga aficionados that can still do splits at that age. There's no excuse, Sam. I think still be limber. I think you can maybe do the splits, but holding your whole body weight up with the splits at that age might be a little more challenging. It's that adds another level to it, level to the difficulty. I do think too, this has a lot of places to go. Not only are they going to follow up on this with the second season, but you could easily take this back into the Sam Fisher Prime as well, with future Splinter Cell content. There's a lot of possibilities here, and it's done well enough that I think, even if there are gripes with how this show has been done, you could easily do this better in a different time period, and I would watch it, right? One of my complaints is a lot of this doesn't hold together very well from if you start thinking about it too much. So I think the actress who goes by the mononym Kirby, she's been in a bunch of TV shows. I think she's a good voice actress, but I can't tell if she is either not covering up her British accent because she is British, or she is just really bad at an American accent. But it doesn't make any sense to have a British person as an NSA agent. And so that's never really addressed as to why she is British or sounds British, but is working for the American government.
Yeah, I thought she was just like of British origin. Or I was like, well, I mean, she just must have grown up there or something. I
feel like you have to explain that in the context of third/fourth echelon and the fact that they are very directly working for the NSA and report to the president of America. If this was let's say this was Rainbow Six, right? Rainbow Six has agents has operatives from all over the world. That is the world of Rainbow Six and Tom Clancy. It's not the world of Splinter Cell. And so I feel like that's really bizarre. And you need to at least touch on that to a certain degree, and they just never do. There's probably going to be controversy too about using Liev Schreiber instead of Michael Ironside for the voice of Sam Fisher, because if you played the games, like Michael Ironside has a really distinctive voice. He's a character actor that's been in like a bazillion movies, very famous for working with Paul Verhoeven. Great actor, really good actor. And his voice, I think, was super iconic. Liev Schreiber, who they picked, also has a great voice.
He did a good job in this show.
Oh,
I thought he
great.
stood out in this show.
Yeah, no, he's really good. But I think people will be like, he's an excellent replacement for Michael Ironside. And Michael Ironside himself turned down this role because he felt that he was too old now and sounded different. And so it's not like they didn't go and try and give it to Michael Ironside.
Character's old. Why is that an excuse?
Man,
Come on.
I don't know. So
Doesn't
they
make
brought
any
Liev
sense.
Schreiber in. Liev Schreiber himself is a very accomplished actor who, and especially his voice is now known to a lot of Americans because he does all the narration for Hard Knocks, the NFL show. And so a lot of the players in the NFL refer to him as the voice of God now because he's got such a great voice and he's been doing all of these awesome voiceovers. So I love Liev Schreiber. And so I was pleased to see him in this. He's been in a bunch of films. He now works a lot with Wes Anderson on some of Wes Anderson's more recent movies. So, I mean, you've seen him basically. But both these guys, Michael Ironside and Liev Schreiber, are very accomplished actors. And I think Liev Schreiber does a really good job of stepping in and being Sam Fisher in this show.
Totally. Yeah. It was in my notes. He definitely stood out.
But why McKenna has a British accent, that is just a mystery.
Yeah, honestly, it didn't even bother me. I was
bothered
just
me
like,
a
yeah,
lot.
whatever. Monty wants his agents to sound American.
I want my American characters to sound American. Yes, shocking. I find it disruptive when they are in fact British and not explained. Which
Are you saying I could never be 007 because I don't sound British? Wow.
Look, if you were good at putting on I don't care if she is British, the actress. I just care that she can sound American. Look, you can be James Bond if you can sound British, though. That's fine with me. I don't care. The British people are the one that are going to flip out about that right away. I think my take is that in the new James Bond that Amazon's making right now, just cast an American actor who can do a really good British accent and see what happens. The British people will lose their goddamn minds, but I don't care.
Well, are they doing the reverse of that with Harry Potter, where they're doing like American actors that are doing British accents? The new the Harry Potter TV show. Is John Lithgow British?
I actually don't know because he has an American accent every time that I hear him.
But he's Dumbledore.
He
We're
may
both
be
looking
British.
it up as fast as possible.
No, he's American. Uh-oh.
My goodness.
I was going to say, because everything I know John
Dumbledore.
Lithgow from, he doesn't have a British accent. So.
Heresy.
But I believe in American actors' abilities to have British accents. But, what's funny, though, just going into Harry Potter real quick, was that it was really important in the original films to the creators of Harry Potter, including J.K. Rowling, that all the actors were actually British. That's why they all were British. So,
But
look, man,
TV show,
look,
who
British
cares?
people. I don't care if Idris Elba is one of the best characters in The Wire and does a great American accent. I accept British actors with American accents as long as you can put them on. And you should accept our American actors with good British accents. That's what I think.
See, this really typifies the difference between us. You know Idris Elba from the Wire. I know him as Stacker Pentecost in Pacific Rim.
He's great in that too.
He is.
He does a good
is.
American accent. What can you say?
He does. He cancels the apocalypse. How about that? Yeah. But it's funny. Her accent didn't even register as like a thing with me.
Both me and my wife found it very noticeable.
I feel like if you are watching a spy thriller, you just kind of assume there's going to be British accents in there somewhere, and you're like, it's a Britishy person,
Anyway, so and then also the fact that they get this Canadian guy, and that's also it because when they go get Thunder, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, "Lol, I'm Canadian," and she's like, "No, you're still coming with me." So I mean, they make it a point to say that maybe they just kidnap people and press them into service. Though that's maybe that's it.
Yeah. He didn't sound Canadian enough though. That's the problem. Hey, I'm into system there. I'm gonna go get their computer, and then we're gonna hack it. Oh, chaos! Did you say chaos algorithms? Oh, cripes! Criminy, we got them out on the lake, and you got to go out and clear them out once in a while.
There's a reason why nobody has Canadian accents in movies, guys. Terrible.
Imagine a spy. We need a hacker man spy thriller. Everyone's Canadian. That sounds good. Hey guys, I'm in the system. Just thought you should know. Oh, That's great, Tad. Good job. You get those bank accounts and you send them right over here, okay? Yeah, all right. We don't want to be late for the potluck. All right. We need a Canadian spy thriller. That's I found my calling, maybe.
There you go. You can write it down. See if you can get it greenlit.
That's right. It'll just be called On Ice. And have multiple meetings. See, that's the beauty of it.
Anyway, so
Sam Fisher.
I would say for me, this is like probably a 6.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it because I like spy thrillers. If you like spy thrillers, you'll probably enjoy this, right? You'll probably enjoy it. Is what
I'd probably give it around the same, but that's like that's high for me for something that I'm not super interested in coming into it, whereas that's low for you coming into something you are interested in.
Yeah. Look, I thought it was pretty good. And if you like if you enjoy this kind of content, is it worth 2.5 hours of your time? Yeah, you'll have a fun time. That's it. Not going to change your life. I would say.
Sam, have you heard about the wonderful plans Sam Fisher has for your life?
I will say, though, that it did hype. It is probably having its intended effect because it did hype me up to play the Splinter Cell remake next year.
Well, didn't do
Maybe
that for
more
me
interested
at all.
in that.
I am not. I'm not really interested in that. But unless we play it for the channel, maybe I'll do it for that. But not aside from that. One Splinter Cell game was enough for me. 20 years ago, 20 something years ago now at this point.
Did you like any kind of stealth games? Did you like Thief at all? Were you into?
Yeah, stealth games are completely different. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stealth, but yeah, I love the Thief series. Thief series. Yeah, I really like Dishonored. I would say GoldenEye way back in the day. It wasn't a stealth game, but you could be sneaky and stuff and karate chop people. but yeah, I really do enjoy stealth games quite a bit. Whenever I play like an Elder Scrolls game, I always play a sneaky character, keeping my eye on that stealth game.
I mean, I hate Elder Scrolls games. I hate them.
Sure, but yeah, so I do really like stealth games quite a bit. I love sneaking around was my favorite thing in Ghost of Yotei.
Okay.
That was the kind of build I chose, was a sneaky assassin type. So I think maybe I don't like it as much. I think I just get tired of all the jargon. I get tired of hearing things all the same thing every single time where it's like, we have to run silent and deep. It's like, I'm in, affirmative, roger that. Like it's like there is a bank of identical lines that are used for every single piece of media in this genre. And that becomes tiring because and the reason is because it's jargon you don't hear anywhere else, and so that's why it stands out, and that's why it makes it all feel very samey to me, so I think that's the main reason I don't enjoy it as much, is because all the technology is like, okay, it's like a little thing that does all this stuff you wouldn't expect a little thing to do. Sure, we got that. All right, we got all our techno jargon. We got our hacker man. We got the just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. It's like I feel like there's just so little unique stuff happening.
I mean, I really like the original Splinter Cell games, and I really like Deus Ex, and so I'm kind of like, I really enjoy these kind of genres, and I've seen every Bond movie ever made.
Bond, but Bond's the original though, right? I mean,
sure.
It's kind of but
I'm into espionage thrillers in general, like I said. So I've seen many of them, and I enjoy that world. And so I like Thief also, but Thief is a different kind of game. I agree with you, but I can understand why you would struggle with this a little bit.
So you're more Mission Impossible, and I'm more Fast and the Furious. It's called like it is.
The first Mission Impossible movie is really good. The Brian De Palma one is excellent.
If we can look at franchises that have almost equal numbers of films at this point.
I have to say, I haven't been a fan of the more recent Mission Impossible movies. They're okay. They're okay, but they're not as good as the first one.
They are perfectly fine.
But yeah,
they don't have Tom Cruise coming out and talking to you about how great flying real planes is, though. That's the one thing they're missing. They need to do that.
All right. Well, we're back to The Witcher next week, DoA.
Oh boy, are you ready to toss a coin to our new Witcher? You excited about that?
This is the season where Liam Hemsworth is taking over from Henry Cavill. We obviously didn't like the last season where Henry Cavill just laid around injured for most of the time.
Oh, poor
doing
Henry
nothing.
Cavill. What a
Geralt.
fantastic actor. What an incredible Witcher he was. He's great in everything he does. And so he will be missed for sure. I will try my best to watch this season without the specter of Henry Cavill, looming over it, where it's like, I want to give our new Witcher a chance. He deserves a chance. He's just an actor trying to do his best. It's not his fault all this happened, as far as I know, unless it was some nefarious plot to seize control of the Witcher title role. But anyway, I'm going to try to give him a chance. What I'm just hoping for is more extremely goofy stuff, like two guys like attaching their swords together and then fighting like that, which sounds like a euphemism, but it's just literal. It says literal as I can describe it.
So
it actually happened that way.
The other fun thing is DoA messaged me the other day and he's like, "Did you know Lawrence Fishburne is in the season?" I said, "What?"
Yeah.
And then he said he's
is,
Regis, and I said, "Oh shit." Because Regis is actually one of the best characters in The Witcher. If you guys have played The Witcher 3, he's one of the main characters in Blood and Wine, the expansion, and he's a vampire, and the character himself is awesome. So I am cautiously optimistic because I love Lawrence Fishburne.
He's a great
and
actor. Yeah.
Regis being in this show is fun. So hopefully they don't mess it up, but almost certainly they will mess it up because they've messed up everything about The Witcher in hilarious ways. So.
Well, at least we can be assured it will be hilarious. I think we can both agree that no matter what happens in the season, there will be entertainment value. There will be fun things to talk about on the show.
At least I get to watch
I'm
Lawrence
looking forward to
Fishburne being a vampire. That'll probably be the highlight.
He's what a trajectory that man has had with
him.
all of his illustrious roles over the years, from like our childhood on Pee-wee's Playhouse to all the way, obviously everyone probably knows him best for his roles in The Matrix, right, as Morpheus. Yep. And then now finding himself as a vampire in the new Witcher thing. I almost wonder if they're like, man, we got to distract people from our Witcher change, our Witcher switcher, if you will. So we got to bring in a big name. We got to bring in somebody everybody loves. Let's bring in Lawrence Fishburne. Everybody loves him. Let's make him a vampire. Everybody loves that. Just no more vampire romance. That's all I ask. Just get back to those Blade vampires, right? They just want to drink some blood and party.
And also, there's a relation between Splinter Cell and Lawrence Fishburne because he was in the John Wick series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You haven't seen John Wick?
I know. I am surprised that I haven't seen John Wick, honestly, because that seems.
What?
I'm sure I would
They're really
like those
fun,
movies.
man.
I'm sure I'd like them. I just have not. I don't know what else to say. I just have not sat down and watched them. I don't know why. I think that's the type of thing where it's like my wife and I like watching action movies together. So I think it's kind of like we're just waiting to watch it together. We're so busy right now that we just haven't gotten around to it. So I'm saying for years at this point. Probably the better part of a decade.
Came out like 10 years ago.
I know.
By the way, John Wick 4. I enjoy all the John Wick movies, but if you guys haven't seen John Wick 4, probably has one of the single most impressive action sequences I have ever seen in any film. That's in the traffic circle around the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. It is incredible. So, I mean, those movies are just what they are. They're fun little fantasies with amazing action sequences, and if you enjoy that, you're gonna like them. That's it. Doesn't have to be deeper than that.
Hey, see, how can you say that about John Wick, but you say negative things about the Fast and the Furious franchise?
I've never seen the Fast and the Furious. I keep telling you this.
Never
I have
seen that. You need to watch.
He's just making shit up. I can't say negative things about the Fast and the Furious because the only movie I've ever seen is Tokyo Drift. It's the only one.
Oh. Which is the only one that basically doesn't connect with all the other ones, except
I don't
very
hate
loosely.
that movie, by the way. I thought it was fine. So
yeah.
I've never seen any of the Fast and the Furious movies, so I cannot comment on how good they are.
Well, let me just give you a little breakdown real quick, because you should watch these. So the first two movies try to play it serious. The first one is very much Point Break with cars. I'm in too deep. I love this life. Blah blah blah. The second one is kind of like, okay, let's do a sequel and let's kind of do the same thing. And then they had Tokyo Drift, where they're like, we don't know what to do. So new characters drift racing in Japan? And it ended up being really entertaining. And then they were like, okay, we get it now. We need to just totally eject all realism from this film and just have it be a superhero movie in everything but name. The characters are invincible, essentially. anyone who dies will definitely come back later in the franchise because it's a soap opera. So just make it a crazy superhero fantasy soap opera with fast cars, and just make the vehicles more and more crazy as time goes on, until the point where, no joke, they end up in space. And so just keep going there, you know. And now we've got supposedly the final one coming out this next year. You know, it's unfortunate. All the good things have to come to an end, but you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. That and Avatar 2, Monty. You're not ready. You're not ready for Fire and Ash or whatever the new one's called. You're not ready.
I will not be ready. Don't you worry about that. I will watch it for this show, but I'm not going to be ready.
Well, at least you'll have only missed one by the time we get to all 5 of them being out.
I feel like this is like a George R.R. Martin scenario, where is James Cameron even going to live long enough to make 5 Avatar movies?
I hope so. He's done 3 out of the 5. We're almost there. He's not that old, is he? I mean, he's old, but he's not. Is he in his
he has
80s?
to be motivated to finish them also.
I've never seen someone more motivated to do anything than James Cameron is to make Avatar films.
Tragic use of his abilities.
It's true. It's true, though. It's true. He is a man driven to make Avatar films. And he was born in the year 1954. Oh, he's like, okay. Yeah, so okay. So yeah,
he actually has time, probably.
He's got time. We will get Avatar 5, thankfully. All right.
I wonder what would have happened with James Cameron if he had just decided to make good movies instead. Because I'm a big fan of Aliens in the Abyss. Why couldn't we just get good stuff? I don't know.
Because he wanted to create his own fantasy science fiction universe. And I respect the man for that. I respect the hell out of him for that, you know? And even though it doesn't always land, there is something about those films, those Avatar films, that I just absolutely love. And this could be a whole nother podcast, but they are something special, in every sense of the word. And so I can't wait to see the 3rd one, all 7 hours of it. It's going to be grand.
Just imagine if James Cameron had just continued on his pre-Titanic trajectory of Terminator, Aliens, The Abyss, Terminator 2, and True Lies. Imagine, he seemed so promising. And then we got Titanic. And it was all downhill from there.
And he was like, that movie made him so much money that he could just do whatever he wanted. And what are you going to do if you have infinite money and you can direct anything you want, write anything you want? You're going to be like, I'm going to tell one of the greatest epics ever put to film, and I'm going to call it Avatar. And it's going to be on a planet, and they're going to be looking for a metal called unobtainium. And and it's going to be so fantastic. Sad.
This is literally now taken over 15 years of James Cameron's career that could have been used for good and instead has been used for evil.
Hey, you say that. How can you say that when you haven't seen it? You haven't seen Avatar.
I've seen the first one, and that was enough.
I don't know. I feel like there's a contradiction here between this statement and your earlier, I can't say anything bad about Fast and Furious. I've never seen it.
Well, I told you. I've seen the first one, and that was enough. Whereas I've seen Fast and Furious 3, and I thought it was all right. And so I don't have.
You got to watch more Fast. That's your assignment for next week. Witcher, and then a couple Fast and the Furious movies. You're lost.
I promise you, I'm not going to do that. All right, we'll see you guys next week for Witcher season 4, and we'll do the whole season because it's just dropping in one day on October 30th. So I guess we'll enjoy that and then laugh at it next week. See you then.